Good evening, everybody. Welcome to full council. If I could start off with the evacuation procedures, please. There is a location plan at the exits of the assembly points situated on the doors of this room. Please familiarise yourselves with it. On discovering a fire, please carry out the following: sound the alarm, attack fire if possible and safe to do so using the appliances provided. On hearing the evacuation signal, please carry out the following: exit the building by your nearest safest exit. All visitors report to Assembly Point G. All staff report to their designated assembly point on Wolf Pathway car park. Do not leave the assembly point for any reason until told to do so by the incident control officer or the fire brigade. Thank you. Item number 2. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Madam Mayor, apologies from councillors Barrow, Head, Phillips and Turner.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of personal budgetary interests. Anybody? No. Thank you. Item 4, can I propose to move as the chair, be in accordance with standing order number 6, that the minutes of the meeting of the council held on 3rd December 25 be approved as a correct record. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Item number 5, just the mayor and deputy mayor's announcement. So it's been quite a busy period since we last met. I've attended over 40 events myself. Quite a mixed bag really of some civic services, but I've also had some wonderful events, attended some local groups and some local community places and spaces. One of them which has been Trinity House. So Trinity House, for those who are not aware of it, is it's a respite service that's located in Kingsbury, who offer respite to adults with learning disabilities and autism. And I think having such a fabulous facility within North Warwickshire to give support to those adults with ALD or autism and their families, respite support is absolutely fantastic. And they do some amazing support and amazing work for those young adults. And it's lovely to have popped along and met everybody and spent some time there. I also attended the cohort 4 12th birthday celebration. Again, it was extremely inspiring. For those who again are not aware of cohort 4, they do a lot of work with ladies and females, and it's extremely inspiring with the amount of group and facilities that they offer. And they have also now started a men's breakfast group, so it's good to meet some of the gentlemen as well that attend that. I've attended the Holy Cross Memorial Service in Warwick, alongside the Birmingham Tattoo, and my very first experience of attending the Atherstone Ball game, and what an experience it was. So obviously well aware of the Atherstone Ball game, but I've never actually seen it for myself, so that was quite an experience. And I've attended some Thanksgiving services and some fundraising events that have been taking place with other mayors across across Warwickshire and across border really. So been really, really good. Davina, don't know whether you've got anything that you want to add?
I have gone 14, Madam Mayor, but I was privileged to go to the University of Warwick Winter Degree Congregations on 21st of January, and it's an absolute joy. All these young people getting their degrees. Sometimes I think we're our age, we all get a little bit jaded, but the actual joy in that hall of the success and the celebration of these young people was it is truly inspiring, and it's really great to be there with them. But I think we all want to know, did the mayor have a kick of the ball? But thank you.
Thank you. I think the closest I got to the ball was signing it and some photos, and I think that was probably enough for me. So just another couple of just things to remind members, please, that we do have an extra exec board this Friday morning. So just as a gentle reminder for everybody. And I also have my civic service on the 8th of March at St. Peter and St. Paul's Church in Kingsbury. It'd be lovely to see members come along to that civic service. representing North Warwickshire. It'd be fabulous to see you there. There will be some light refreshments after the service. Thank you. Okay, item agenda number 6. Steve, have we got any questions from members?
But one question from Councillor Simmons. Members should have that on their desks.
Thank you, Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In relation to recent developments, so how will the council ensure that local residents' objections and neighbourhood plans carry real weight in planning decisions rather than being overridden by developer-led targets imposed by central government? Will the council publish clear site-by-site justification for any development approved on what is now termed grey belt land, including why protection was deemed impossible, so residents can understand and challenge decisions that permanently remove green space? Can we also write and engage our MP to raise in Parliament the challenge that 1.5 million new dwellings have been given planning permission, and the inference being that councils are the blockers to development, and that's inaccurate when in fact developers can land bank, use the increased land values to borrow against as assets, and therefore determine where they build through controlling the land supply over a time to suit them, and therefore act in a bullish manner in communities that don't want their landscape to be altered.
Thank you, Councillor David Wright.
Madam Mayor, thank you for your question. All objections will be fully considered when deciding on planning applications, in line with our borough plan policies and the local neighbourhood plans. Where there is an adopted neighbourhood plan, it carries the same status as our borough plan. Planning is a democratic process. It is crucial that residents' voices and opinions are heard and treated with respect. We all have a say in how planning applications are determined. Recently, the planning process has been significantly changed by government policy. This includes requirements to have a 5-year land supply and the housing delivery test, which measures the number of new homes being delivered each year. Although councils do not have any direct control over the delivery by developers, councils are penalised if the delivery is not on target. This has been very challenging, not only for North Warwickshire Borough Council, but also many other local authorities, as it potentially trumps the provisions of our local plan policies. The challenges to our community are even greater now that the previously secure green belt is under threat. If a developer can demonstrate that the land is grey belt rather than green belt, many of the planning appeals coming from the planning inspectorate are on this matter. In addition, government pulled the significant funding for the A5 improvement, essential for residential sites already allocated in the current local plan. This has required a rethink on options for future delivery. It is therefore essential that we have a new local plan in place as soon as possible that will reset our housing and employment requirements. The evidence base to support the new plan will establish how new policies are set and how future planning applications are decided. It will include an updated assessment of our green belt, amongst other things, such as a strategic transport assessment and landscape assessments. The green belt review will look at the existing green belt area and identify opportunities to take in new green belt areas. The evidence base will be published and available for residents to see. It is intended that the council would undertake another round of consultation before the local plan is submitted to the planning inspectorate for examination. Our planning officers and planning board are working hard to deliver a new plan to protect our rural towns and villages from inappropriate development, to ensure that essential infrastructure is provided, to ensure that we have enough roads, schools, doctors' surgeries, affordable houses, play areas and leisure facilities. But we can't do everything on our own, especially where government policy is concerned. So we will be writing to our members of parliament to ask them to join with us to protect our green belt and deliver a great local plan.
Thank you. Item number 7, To receive and consider the minutes and notes of the meeting of the Planning and Development Board, the 8th of December, the 5th of January and the 2nd of January. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that the notes of the meetings of the Planning and Development Board held on the 8th December, 5th January and 2nd of February be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Jarvis. So page 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155. Councillor Hayfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to enjoy this because Councillor Simpson had no indication I was going to speak on this. Usually, I berate the fact that planning committees go on and on and on, and they're moving inexorably towards where the chip shop closes. Well, this one was different. This one, all we have to do is talk about trees. What I'm looking for is some reassurance that this is not the process of more and more being delegated to officers. Was this a special one? Was this? I mean, I'm all for finishing at 8 o'clock or whatever it is, or 7:30 even. But trees, planning committee,
What's the matter with these?
yeah. What's a question there, Councillor Simpson?
Councillor Simpson, would you like to respond?
I'm just amazed you have a cheek to raise that as you speak at planning board more than anybody else does. There is a serious matter, not trees are important, and they matter to a lot of people's local community. But I agree, this was a relatively short meeting. I'm sorry, Councillor Hayfield, but I also cannot assure you that that is not going to be the case, because if the government's new regulations on planning boards come to fruition, we will be having significantly fewer board meetings, significantly shorter discussions, which you may well enjoy, because all planning decisions will become delegated to officers, and meetings will cease to be as interesting and as exciting as it does now.
Thank you. We'll go back to the page numbers. Page 156 and page 157. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With Councillor Hayfield's permission, I beg to move that the meetings of the minutes of the meetings of the planning board held on the 8th December, 5th January and 2nd of February.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, all those in favour? All those that abstained? Thank you. Okay, if I can move on to item number 8, to receive and consider the minutes and notes of the meeting of the special subgroup committee on the 6th of January and the 10th of February. Councillor Clues.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I beg to receive the minutes and the notes, especially subgroup on the 6th and the 10th of February. Be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor. So page 158, 159 and page 160. Councillor, please.
Madam Mayor, I beg to move that the minutes and the social sub held on the 6th of January and the 10th of February be adopted.
Thank you. Seconded. Thank you very much, Councillor Waffles. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 9, to receive and consider the minutes and notes of the meeting of the Community Environment Board, 19th of January. Councillor Bow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Community Environment Board for the 19th of January 2026 be received.
Thank you. Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Singh. Page 161, 162, on page 163. Thank you, councillor Barron.
Madam Mayor, I move that the minutes of the community event on 16th of January be adopted.
Seconded, please. Thank you, councillor Wackles. All those in favour? Anyone abstain? Thank you. Item number 10. To receive and consider the minutes and the notes of the meeting of the local development framework on the 20th of January 26. Councillor Watson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the LDF self-reading 20 February be received.
Thank you. To have a seconder, please. Thank you, councillor Hayfield. Page 164. Councillor Watson.
And the minutes be moved.
Seconded. Councillor Hayfield. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 11, to receive and consider the minutes of the notes of the meeting of the Resource Board on the 26th of January 26. Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Resources Board held on the 26th of January be received.
Thank you. Seconded. Thank you very much, Councillor Watson. Page 165. Page 166. 167. 168. And 169. Thank you, councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Resources Board held on the 26th of January be adopted.
Seconded. Thank you very much, councillor Osborne. All those in favour? Abstained? Thank you. Agenda number 12, to receive and consider the minutes and notes of the meeting of the Alcohol and Gambling Licence Committee on the 27th of January 26. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Alcohol and Gambling Licensing Committee held on the 27th of January 2026 be received.
Thank you. To have a seconder, please. Thank you very much. Page 170 and page 171. Councillor Jones.
I move that those minutes be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded, please. Thank you, councillor Osborne. All those in favour? Abstained? Thank you. 13, to receive and consider the minutes and notes of the meeting of the Taxi and General Licensing Committee on the 27th of January. Councillor Jones.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Taxi and General Licence Committee held on the 27th of January 2026 be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Page 172. Page 173. Councillor Jones.
I move that those minutes be adopted.
Thank you. Seconded, please. Thank you. All those in favour? Abstained? Item number 14. To receive the minutes and notes of the meeting of the Exec Board on the 16th of February 2026. And Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Executive Board held on the 16th of February be received and give notice of our intention to move an amendment to minute number 56 regarding the tax set for 26-27.
Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. Councillor Hayfield. I think they're just coming around to the room now. Whilst they're coming around, are there any other proposals? Councillor Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There will be further amendments from the North Yorkshire Independent Representative Group.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think they've been distributed now. Don't have a second, please, for councillor Stewart. Thank you, councillor Murphy. So could I suggest, oh, sorry, councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to present to you our budget for North Warwickshire Borough Council for 2026-27, which once again seeks to balance the very great number of uncertainties and challenges that we as a council and our residents face, whilst also setting an ambitious vision for how we want the borough to be if or when local government reorganisation is reorganised in 2 years' time. As ever, our focus is on improving the excellent services that our residents value and continues to be shaped by what our residents have said is important to them. Efficient services, improved leisure and recreational facilities, cleaner streets, more community facilities, firm targeted enforcement and safer communities. Our budget follows the consistent line we have taken since the start of this council session in 2023 to provide the resources needed for the council's priorities as set out in the corporate plan, whilst looking to run our services as efficiently as we can. We know that our residents value the services we provide and appreciate the considerable efforts that members and officers working together go to. We've seen this in the results of our resident survey, and this year in the response to the discussions about local government reorganisation, we are the only area in Warwickshire that does not want to see the council be abolished. The budget's priorities I am introducing this evening seek to build on this and take that work further, as despite our good reputation with residents and stakeholders, there is much to do, and it would seem not much time to do it. The position with regard to the council's finance has been through a period of particular uncertainty, with our finances dependent on a number of variable factors, uncertainty being impacted by the much promised review to local government funding, as well as issues with reporting and external audit that members are very familiar with. However, our control on spending and focus on efficiency means that we are in a good position in the short term, albeit that by the end of the medium term we face considerable budget pressures again. This budget seeks to balance those two positions. I'd like to first reflect on the progress made since the items announced in last year's budget. Further to the £13 million for a new leisure centre announced in the last two budgets, the council was able to commit to a capital allocation of £25 million last year, and the project has made great progress, engaging with members and the public. And we are now at the point of submitting a planning application this week for the scheme, which, if approved, will see the demolition and rebuild start in the next few months. The official opening of the pump track in Dordon. The council continued to provide extra resources for cleaning our streets. The appearance of our high streets and shops has been greatly enhanced by a further round of high street grants, with a further 37 grants given to these important assets in our community this year, giving a total of 103 businesses now helped, with a total of £174,000 being given. The council has supported valuable schemes from the Councillor Grant Scheme. In addition, we've organised 47 teenage market stalls and 8 local community events around the borough, such as Badsley Party in the Park and the Coleshill Christmas Lights Switch On. The council now has more enforcement resource to tackle the issues that matter to residents, and this has led to real action in our communities on planning and fly tipping, with 38 enforcement actions taken with regard to fly tipping, including with 29 fixed penalty notices and 3 prosecutions through the court, with 7 cases that will be prosecuted shortly. There has also been a significant increase in planning enforcement activity, with 4 injunctions, 3 urgent stop notices and 3 cases prosecuted through the court, in addition to a host of other notices and direction actions. We were able to support 47 events marking the 80th anniversary of VE Day in May. Upgrades to over 10,000 square metres of play areas with 43 new pieces of play equipment. Improvement to supporting facilities such as Boot Hill, Grendon, Annesley Workshops and Addiston Sports Club, with over £500,000 of FA funding secured and 403 football matches played just on our facilities. All of this work involved extensive consultation with our residents, particularly our young people. I'm also delighted to advise members that work to comprehensively refurbish Manchester pavilions announced in last year's budget is due to be complete by early summer, and work to the Annesley Pavilion will be finished in the autumn. And we received 259 nominations for North Warwickshire's first ever Small Business Awards. One particular feature of this support to community facilities and projects is how efficiently a small amount of funding can be targeted to get projects over the line or leave in far more external funding. For example, as I've mentioned, 47 VE Day projects received on average only £170, but this funding makes all the difference when targeted to where it will make the greatest difference. In order to ensure these improvements continue, I'm pleased to announce an ambitious programme of further targeted support in a number of areas. We propose a further £125,000 per year for 2 years high street cleaning and a further £100,000 per year for 2 years to support shops in our high streets and villages. We also provide funding for replacement public bins where they are in poor condition and can help keep our areas clean. Our commitment to improved leisure and recreation facilities is now well established, as the planning application will be submitted this week shows. The £27 million of capital commitment for the new Addiston Leisure Centre is confirmed, and I'm delighted to see that now formally in our capital programme. In related news, I'm pleased that local NHS partners have agreed to take on the former toilets in Addiston in order to ensure the services currently provided at the leisure centre are continued. We will continue to explore the options for increased leisure and recreation activities across the borough, and this budget commits the council to provide 3 further pump tracks following the great success that our first 2 tracks in Annesley and Dordon have given. As set out earlier, members and residents have made it clear how much they value the council's enforcement action in respect of planning and environmental health matters across the borough. Councillors also consistently raise a number of other areas where they would like to see further enforcement, sometime outside of our usual areas of activity, such as the parking and speeding issues discussed at the December council meeting. We're proposing, therefore, 2 further community support officers to add to our environmental health capacity to look at a range of enforcement activity, including fly tipping, issues around dog control, etc. And we continue to seek delegated powers from other bodies to deal with issues that matter to our residents. In addition, through efficiencies within the service, we propose repurposing a food safety officer into another full-time environmental crime officer. And we propose through this budget a further £70,000 for another experienced planning enforcement officer to assist with our most serious case, including taking direct High Court bailiff type action where needed. As set out in our corporate plan, feeling safe and ensuring place-based enforcement addresses matters to concern to residents is a key part of our safe and livable communities aim. To add to the enforcement capacity already mentioned, we were proposing a further £35,800 towards the staffing cost of the CCTV in Addiston, and will continue to talk to other areas to see if they can link into this system and the police's ANPR network. There will also be a further £15,000 for initiatives to improve community safety as last year, with projects being developed and approved by the Safer Communities Subcommittee. Another key theme of our corporate plan concerns sustainable growth and protecting our rurality. Members will be aware, not least from the question asked earlier this evening by Councillor Simmons, that changes to government policy, particularly around the green belt, is going to make this significantly more difficult. Progressing the local plan remains a key priority for the council, and we will invest the significant funding this will require through this budget, as well as ensuring we defend planning applications appeals as robustly and with sufficient resources as these occur. Related to these themes, can I take the opportunity to welcome the work that has started this week to demolish and redevelop Britannia Mill in Atherstone. This has come about by harnessing the very best work of our officers who achieved the involvement of Homes England and the West Midlands Combined Authority to provide funding and a development partner to ensure something positive has at last happened on this privately owned site. And our planning councillors who have been very proactive in allowing the scheme to provide much needed support to housing to progress. We are aware that housing in the borough continues to come under pressure, due in part to the pressure on the private rented sector. This budget therefore commits a further £700,000 over 2 years for measures to reduce homelessness in the borough and support people in critical housing need. We will also continue to review our garage sites to ensure better use of these sites where appropriate. Pulling these themes together, however, is our keynote announcement in this budget, the North Warwickshire Shared Prosperity Fund. Members will be aware of the tremendous success this council, working across the chamber and with our key partners, made of the UK Shared Prosperity Fund base, as mentioned earlier, on the knowledge and understanding we have for our communities in order to provide targeted funding for projects that make a real difference right across the borough. I am delighted to announce, therefore, that we will provide up to £2 million funding across the next 2 years to allow partners, residents, town and parish councils to bid for funding for projects to repeat the transformational change within our communities as we head into local government reorganisation. Details of this scheme will be announced shortly, and we will try to be as flexible with the criteria as possible so that it can be led by our communities. There are some areas such as transport within the borough, heritage, and a further changing room enhancement which we will be particularly welcome and will ensure that these are funded from reserves, if not done so from this scheme. Linked to this, I am also pleased to announce a fund of £50,000 per year for 2 years to allow communities to bid for measures to alleviate the effects of flooding in their areas, and also £5,000 per year for 2 years to enable parish councils to proudly fly our nation's flag if they wish to do so. And I'd like to make it clear that this will be in addition to £175,000 per year for 2 years. Apologies.
Make it happy.
Absolutely. Yes, for councillors to fund, thank you. To fund projects in their areas, giving each ward £5,000 per year. Madam Mayor, I am able this evening to suggest a wide-ranging and significant programme of investments for our borough and its residents. This reflects the current healthy financial position this council is in, as well as maintaining sufficient reserves for coming year. This, at the same time, the Labour government's economic mismanagement has left our nation struggling. Growth is stagnating, inflation is soaring, unemployment is its highest level for years at 5.2%. And for those aged 18 to 24, at over 15%. At the same time, we have seen them bail out failing councils to the tune of nearly £1.5 billion. I'm sure I don't need to remind the Chamber again, because I've already done it once tonight, that this Labour government cancelled the improvements to the A5 at a fraction of the cost that they are now bailing out those failing councils. Our families and residents are paying the price for this inept government who want to reward failure and tell hard-working people and businesses to pay for it. We need a steady hand, a strong focus on private enterprise and real leadership to get our economy back on track. And then we have reform. Reform, despite their leader saying they would cut taxes by cutting waste. Farage on a leaflet saying it himself, despite denying it now. We have seen an unacceptable rise in council tax, far beyond what was promised. For example, Kent 3.99%, Staffordshire 3.99%, Warwickshire 4.4%, and Worcester 9%. This breaks the trust of hard-working families in our borough. This is not a surprise, having surrounded himself with has-beens from the party he said he wanted to destroy and give the electorate something new and different to vote for. The Institute of Fiscal Studies said their one tax cut alone could cost up to £80 billion. As a Conservative council, we will keep taxes low, focus on efficiency and ensure that every resident gets the value they deserve. Therefore, I am particularly delighted to announce, balancing all these factors, that we are proposing to freeze in respect of our element of council tax for the coming financial year, which represents a reduction in the tax burden on our residents of over £160,000. Madam Mayor, as I've said in previous years, our budgets are all about continuing the good financial management that has led to the opportunities that are available to us currently. Using those opportunities to increase the financial sustainability of the council and delivering for our communities based on what they have said important to them. I recommend our budget.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Could I suggest that we take a 30-minute break so that everybody can have a look at, obviously, the budget and the papers that have been handed out? Okay.
Madam Mayor, before we do that, can I suggest it would be helpful if there are any other alternative budgets, we see those at the same time, and so during the adjournment we can look at it.
Yeah, are there any other alternative budgets? Councillor Stewart? Councillor Watkins?
Yeah. We have, and we were told to Steve about it after the adjournment.
Okay, but we could just pass it around and we'll take it out of us, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming back from there. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Before we move on, can I just check if you've got a seconder for Councillor Wright's proposal, please?
A second. I'm going to go right to speak.
Thank you. So we've had we had a proposer for Councillor Stewart, which was Councillor Waffle. Councillor Stewart, do you wish to speak now?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, both the group leaders will be aware that the North Warwickshire Independents, we try and transmit what we are planning to do in advance to allow people to respond. And I'd like to apologise that our amendment to this item didn't actually come forward till relatively late today. But I'd also like to thank officers that have helped us get this through as quickly as we've been able to. It is actually quite nice to actually be able to vote on a budget that we've actually seen, which is something that not all local authorities have been privileged to do so.
One thing that we don't like to do either is that we don't necessarily like to play party politics. We very much believe that we're here to serve our residents, as we all do, but we do that as individuals. We are a representative democracy. We are elected as individuals, albeit under a party banner, maybe in some cases, but we are elected as individuals to represent our individual communities and our borough as a whole. Just to detail, one thing where I think that we potentially can work well together. It was at a recent meeting of the special subgroup where the items related to actually some of the enforcement officers that we've referenced as well. The idea of one of our community environment officers, and it was detailed there that actually we might want to do some work around flooding. And I'm looking at a couple of members here and I can see the nodding coming through. And I said, well, actually, this is the perfect time that if we were going to do something with budget coming forward and mentioning it there. This item was also then mentioned at the Sustainability Action Group just earlier this week as well. It is somewhat frustrating when we try and operate in such a transparent fashion that actually we're not always able to work together or see exactly where we're likely to go on some of these things. And I appreciate that particularly certain members are in that kind of regard. But it is good to note that the messages around flooding and flood defences has come through into the budget there. We actually proposed, as you'll see from our budget, a line for £24,000 for the Sustainability Action Group. I'm pleased to announce that following discussions that we've had just, while that would not necessarily be taken forward in any approved budget, that any actions that come from the action plan that's coming up there will be received in a more favourable light. And I think that when we're looking forward to making sure we all have responsibilities in relation to climate change, sustainability in the environment. So I'm glad to see that that will be taken forward. In terms of some of the other items, I just want to talk through what we're talking about. The Community Seed Fund. I've always said to being the councillor, I didn't realise before I was elected what a privilege it is. What a privilege it is to be able to actually influence people's lives and our communities, and that for positive benefit. I didn't realise what that gave us. And the community grants that we've used over the previous years, it's enabled me to underwrite the cost of people who wanted to do something, but didn't want to take that kind of risk. Now, I'm going to detail a couple. One is the library, which is volunteer run in Waterall, and they've been suffering in terms of finance with cost of heating and so forth, and they wanted to do that. And they wanted to run an afternoon tea. And I was able to, from one source, support the placement of a food hygiene certificate, and from another to underwrite the cost. And for the cost of underwriting that to the tune of £150, they were able to raise £1,500. And on top of that, getting critics from all over. And on top of that, there's been several other events that have been held on that kind of line to raise that finance. But not only has that raised finance, they've been wonderful community events. And the library's really sort of like become reborn within the community and shown that goodwill towards it. And so that's why we were looking for the Community Seed Fund to be created. Similarly, in terms of the Flagpole Fund, is that we were looking for £250 towards the 31 parishes and town councils, each to have one towards match funding there as well. And we want to have that because we've seen that there's a need to have a feeling of community and identity, but for that to be done in the right way, for that to have a purity about it, which is the kind of thing that we want from our flag. Similarly, in terms of the school attendance support emergency grants, school attendance is a value in its own right, and we don't want anyone to have that kind of barrier. And this will be to create a kind of an emergency fund, and it's the immediacy aspect that comes from here. We wrote £20,000. We wouldn't be anticipating that it was there, but we wanted to make sure that that finance was available, if at all possible. And then similarly, I'd like to go on record to say my personal thanks to the Piccadilly Community Association. I know there's representatives here tonight who've supported the work of the Special Management Zone, which has been instrumental in our community's response to HS2 and a lot of the problems there that have been created by that. And that would just be an acknowledgement for the costs that they've been encountering for providing those kind of facilities. I'm delighted to be able to say, in the spirit of collaboration, that we've received assurances on all of those kind of matters. And on that basis, I'll be seeking to withdraw the amendment.
Thank you, councillor Stewart. Would anybody else like to comment or anything else? Have you got anything else to say? Councillor Waffles.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to say thank you to the officers that supported us with coming up with the proposals to make sure that they were all fit for purpose and that they would be, hopefully received well. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments? Councillor Raven.
Thanks. I just wanted to reiterate the thanks to officers, and they've worked really hard, and we've heard in quite a few meetings over the last year that's been a lack of leadership in terms of auditing, etc. And we know what a good job this finance team have done over the last few months, and I know that you've worked above and beyond your hours, etc. So just a huge thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Did you get to this?
Yes.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that I really welcome this budget, and obviously there's a lot to do with leisure, which is why I really welcome it. And obviously we've got the new leisure centre, and this budget really cements all the funding into the budget for that, which I'm really grateful for. It's fantastic. So we're going to have a new leisure centre, not just swimming, but play area for youngsters, gym, exercise rooms, a cafe, a community space, which is almost as big as the Memorial Hall. So this is going to be a hub for the whole of the borough. This isn't just for Atherstone, this is a social hub, for the whole of the borough. And I really welcome it. And inside the new leisure centre, there's going to be what we call a changing place. For those of you that don't know that, these are for adults with disabilities who need space for their personal needs and possibly a hoist. And that's what we'll be providing. And on top of that, as part of this budget, we're also going to look to get these changing places in strategic places across the borough, so that we can have those people with those needs have got access to those facilities. It's something that we've tried to do before, and we've got an opportunity now to expand that. And it's something that I really welcome. And also the new pump tracks that we're bringing into the borough. This is actually part of our road safety strategy. This is to get youngsters with bikes and scooters off the road into an exciting place where they can ride them in safety. And it's been really successful in Ansley Common and in Dordon, where we've already got them. And I think it's something that we can introduce for our young people more across the borough, do as much as we can to get those people in. And also the prosperity which David's mentioned. There's some really exciting things that we could do under that for our borough. Projects that we can bring together from all sorts of sources. And two things that are particularly close to my heart. And one is the heritage, this fantastic heritage that we've got in North Warwickshire. We can really do something, put a project together and look at how we can celebrate our historical past and let everybody have access to it. And the other thing that I think we could really look at under that fund is our communications and transport. We all know it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare to try and get across the borough. Now we've got one of the best kept secrets in the borough is that we have got an Indigo down and ride bus. Hands up to anybody who knows we've got it for the first thing. We have got it, it hardly works and it's not particularly useful. But it might be the embryo that we can build on to get a dial and ride bus service across the borough. And we obviously need to work with the county council. When I was county council, I tried to do this then. But now if we can offer to pump some money into that and make it, breathe life into it and make health a priority so people have got access to health facilities, that would be fantastic. And I'm sure you've all got lots of other ideas that are close to your heart that you want to do with this money. So really welcome this budget and happy to support it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Following on from the thank yous, I generally, those who there will remember the last but one planning but we gave our finance officer half an hour's worth of grilling on the budget. So planning board, you can take absolute confidence that this budget is only because of your hard work. But thank you as well very much for putting up with what we were trying to achieve. I've been a member of the council since 1987 with a 4-year bit when the electorate unelected me. I honestly, in the whole of that time, cannot remember an occasion when we were able to inject 2 million plus of additional benefit into our communities and do so without any council tax increase. That is a tremendous achievement. The leader talked about having an ambitious vision, control on spending, focus on efficiency. Absolutely that. But my word, what an achievement. But if anything, the undersold is achievement. Because at a time when inflation is 3%, it's actually, we're not just doing it for no increase, it's effectively a 3% reduction. It would be lovely if all the other authorities were able to do this, but I honestly think, a debt of gratitude to all of our hard-working officers to get us to where we are, as well as members for working together to have a vision and to work for a council which, despite the fact the government seems intent on abolishing us, has actually worked together to deliver community vision and to deliver efficient and effective services. There's a couple of things I'd like to particularly draw out in the budget. As you imagine, I'm delighted to see additional resource in enforcement. That, I think, for almost all of us, but particularly those on the planning board, we all know the pressure that the enforcement team is on and the amount of additional requirements in their time. So to be able to have a further senior enforcement officer is incredible. To add to that, the community support officer, the environmental crime officer, and to do more work in terms of flight effect, really is delivering on what I think people, well, certainly those that complain to me, want us to see us doing more. So members, honestly, first time in damn near 40 years of my time on this council that we've delivered more with less. That is incredible.
Thank you. Councillor Clues.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to all the officers that's helped to put this budget together. And I'd also like to echo what Councillor Stewart said about the councillors' community grants. These grants make a huge difference in our community. And I've said it in all the years I've stood here as a councillor, that without these volunteers that run these community grants and our youth organisations, everything would shut down. They wouldn't exist. So any help that we can give them, I think it's really, really special. Myself and Councillor Barnett, we funded some really nice ones. We funded a new craft group in Ridge Lane, which started off with, I think, about 6, and now I think there's 30 odd people going, not just from Ridge Lane. And I think the last 2 months, the bad men go along as well. We give a grant for new tables for the village hall. We've just been asked for a grant for some stacking in so that the youth club can put their equipment away safely. And along with Councillor Watson and Councillor Durbix, Councillor Jarvis and Councillor Singh, the 6 of us, had stood together and put more money into some of the bigger applications that we've been asked for. The Girls' Guides went on a camp and we provided camping equipment for them, cooking facilities, saucepans and everything. The Girls' Friendly Society celebrated 150 years of the Girls' Friendly Society. So again, the 6 of us put money and they had a lovely day. They had T-shirts, they had badges, and working together, the local councils within Alston and Manchester has worked really well. So I think this £5,000 again is really special. And I'd also like to speak about the homeless prevention, being assigned the chair of the special group for homelessness. And this is getting worse. And this is no fault of their own. This is people that's rented houses for many, many years and being asked to leave because now the people that own the houses want to put them up for sale. So for no fault of their own, we've got families now with children and pets that you know, are struggling to find somewhere. And again, the garages, I think this is, I'd like to say thank you again for this extra money. We've done the first round of garages and we've identified the ones that are past the sell-by date and we could have some with us. So for this extra money, we can now go on to the second one. So I welcome this budget and I support this budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Like many of the conversations earlier, I think this is a really good budget for our residents. I think it's a really important budget. As you'd expect, I was pleased to see recognition of funding in the local plan. It's probably one of the single most important things that we do, because it will see many of us, probably most of us in this chamber, because the plan looks forward to the future. And you'd have heard earlier, and many of our residents are really concerned about what it means for their communities. So it's something we have to get right. So I was delighted to see that. And picking up on Councillor Sue's point, I think it's really impressive the fact that we've done this without increasing our council tax. But two other things that I wanted to really pick up on, or three of the things I wanted to pick up really, and Councillor Stewart mentioned it around the flood prevention. You know, flood prevention, street cleaning, these are things that you can often say are actually county council responsibilities. I know they subcontract the work to us, but actually the statutory responsibility sits with them. But these are things that genuinely affect our residents. So I'm delighted to see us do more in those spaces, because these are what make people's lives different on a daily basis. And the last one, again, picking up the the raising of the flag. I mean, I'm a massive supporter of our national flag. But I want to see it done properly. You know, one of the things that really upsets me is when I see, firstly, when the Union flag is flown upside down, which is done more often than you think, actually, but there isn't actually a correct way up that it should go, large white bar to the top. And I don't like to see it when it gets tatty and when it gets worn. So I don't want to see it on street furniture. But what I really want to see it is in community spaces where parish councils, town councils can take responsibility for it. And actually we can fly it proudly. So I think this is a really impressive budget. I think it's been mentioned earlier, and I will be supporting the budget.
Thank you. Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can only agree with what the previous speakers have said, really. I really support this budget with the Conservative amendments. I'm particularly pleased to see the money set aside for contracts. Last year, you and I were approached by residents in Kingsbury asking if we could have a contract in Kingsbury. So I'm hoping that the availability of this money will sort of make that a possibility. The High Street grants, I've enjoyed serving on the panel that awards those grants, and there have been some really good grants that have done some, for a small amount of money, sort of enabled businesses to show some real pride in their businesses and to really improve the appearance of our high street. So I'm glad that's going to be continuing. What's been said about the council grants in Kingsbury, we've made some really useful awards with the council grants. Kingsbury's going to be here, and it's church clock chiming again for the first time in quite a long time, and people have been hearing that all down to a council grant making that possible. We've run community events to give people advice on eating and we'll go through costs of living events. The support that we gave to the community coffee morning to enable them to run a Christmas event, which I think you attended, was really well received. Good Councillor Watson on the flag raising. The flags that went on the lampposts in Kingsbury looked great for a couple of weeks. Now they'll be draggled and tatty. I think if we can sort of fly them properly in community spaces, that's a much better use. I think if I could just agree with Councillor Bell on the perhaps using the NWSPF for changing places. When I was a county councillor, the very first thing I did as a county councillor was open a changing places toilet in Kingsbury Water Park, and I know how well that's been received. It's well used. It's really useful. People can visit Kingsbury Water Park now and not have to worry about going home after an hour and a half or 2 hours because somebody needs to use the toilet. And you know, these facilities make it possible for families with really real needs in terms of that to be able to enjoy a day out. And if we can look at putting more of those around our area, that would be great. And I think the fact that we're doing all of this and freezing our council tax at a time when we're looking at substantial increases from the county council and the police and crime commissioner, for us to be able to freeze our element of the council taxes, it's fantastic, and a credit to the financial management of us as an administration and of our officers. So thank you. I support this Conservative Union.
Thanks very much, Councillor James. Councillor Chapman.
Good evening. I'm standing by Michaela, and obviously she brought at the last full council, we spoke about road safety. So in relation to that and the comments that David has said about pump tracks, where are we looking to put those? Are we going to be consulted on those in terms of traffic hotspots and stuff like that? So it'd be interesting to know fully behind that. I think the one in Dorgan's done an amazing job. But coming off the back of the road safety stuff, it'd be interesting to understand where we're looking to put those pump tracks and what consultations have we done around that. And my other question is, the council community grants, are they still going to be available to councillors?
Councillor Andy Wright.
I'm really pleased to see the renovation, the change in facilities within this budget. This provision will allow teams to compete in our divisions and encourage more women and girls to participate. Very happy to support this budget.
Thank you. Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Certainly endorse everything that's been said from members across the chamber this evening. In particular, certainly mentioned, as Steve has done on a couple of occasions, about the councillor community grants. And yes, they are welcome and have been for many, many years. So glad to see that continuing. And I'm sure that members like myself in north and south of Coleshill, that we actually sort of put our monies together to help the local groups that are in there. And certainly, again, with the street cleaning, that is something that's always been very passionate with everywhere that you go with residents, particularly with those high street grants, very much welcome again. And I know that Councillor Simmons does an awful lot of work with other people on the shop fronts, and that is so much to be welcomed as other council, should I say, other members of the public certainly welcome that. And again, with Martin, as mentioned about the flag poles, I mean, every single place welcomers have pride in their area and in our country. So very much welcomed indeed. And the fly tipping, I think people may have seen on TV, I think it was yesterday, about some place that looked like they thought was a river, and it's just a complete length of fly tipping. And Lord knows how much money it's going to cost to remove that. And of course, as we've talked before about the poor farmers or the landowners that always have to pay the cost to remove it because it's on private land. So actually bringing that aware, and those signs that are in Coleshill and many other parts, warning people that of the great offence and the fines that they can get if they are caught fly tipping. So welcome. As mentioned, has been about our sustainability group, and yes, it's been great. Steve, you've been very enthusiastic on the group and I'm sure that will continue. And once we've now got our action plans together, and then we'll be certainly calling Farmer Reserves or wherever to be looking at some funding for the programmes that we're putting forward. With that embarrassment, I would like to thank Mick Brown and Becky, that's in the corner there, for their great input. They've been helping to draw everything together, so very much welcome that. And finally, Councillor Clunes, so much that you're doing on the homeless prevention. Although 6 years ago I started working with the homeless when at Birmingham City Council, I still do that. But I must have a chat with you at some point to see what we're doing here in North Warwickshire and how we can help to prevent any homelessness and people who do suffer that, and it's not easy. But all in all, Madam Mayor, thank you to the administration for an excellent budget and a good joint agreement, and happy to support. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hayfield now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Big ticket item in this budget is obviously Addison Leisure Centre. But there is something for all parts of the borough here in this budget. I'm with Councillor Cruz and Councillor Stewart on the importance of community groups and the small helping hand that can make such a big difference to some of these community groups. So for me, I'm no personal fan of leisure centres, as you can well imagine. But I see potential for something for every ward in this budget. And as Councillor Simpson will remember, 30 odd years ago, 40 odd years ago, in this case, that wasn't always the case. So congratulations. Got my vote.
Thank you. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to support the Conservative budget. When I first saw the proposals and saw the flood proposal, I was somewhat confused knowing this is a county council responsibility, but I'm sure everybody in this chamber will share my view that the county council have singularly failed to address this responsibility, and the proposal of supporting local flood action groups to problem solving in their areas is welcomed. My final comment is about the special wetlands. So I have a personal interest in the special wetlands zone. I share Councillor Stewart's comments about the excellent work done by Ian Thomas and Jean Thomas to get this group off the ground into fully functioning and robust community representation. So I look forward to when as a council we will be able to recognise local volunteers for the good work that they've done and the passion they bring to the agendas they support. So I support the recommendation as printed and support the Conservative budget.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jarvis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Needless to say, I support the resolution. I'd just like to focus on the community grants that all us councillors are able to do. So, in our ward, mine and Major's ward, we have Atherstone Sports Club, and this shows that by all 6 of the Atherstone councillors getting together, we took something that was an embryo and turned it into something that is really special, with probably, I'm guessing, well over 1,000 members down there covering 4 different sports. When it started, it was a hope, and the 6 of us, the 6 local Atherstone councillors, got together and we gave them a grant. From that point forwards, the whole thing has moved forwards. It's not only the councillors, it was the officers as well. And it was putting everybody around the same table, talking, and it shows what we can do. As I say, it's moved it from 4 sports within a hall, now to 4 sports that collaborate. And as we know now, they've just had over £1 million worth of grants, which shows that our pump starting of a few thousand here and there has led to something that is, it serves all of North Warwickshire. It's not just a local thing. And it comes down to the original pump starting from the councillors' grants that just allowed it to move on. And I'm sure that that collaborative working through any of the organisations could achieve exactly the same.
Thank you. Anybody else? Are we still anybody?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be very brief. I think this budget is good news. It's like being in a parallel universe because you turn on the television these days, everything's dreadful. Everything's dreadful. Cost of living crisis, the international state of whatever is going on out there every time you turn the news on. 0% rise can only be good news for our residents. And I do welcome that very much so. The good news about the community grants, the councillor grants, the pump track, it's been such a success in Dordon. I think Councillor Amelia will agree to that. I'll be very grateful that that actually came to Dordon. It's really made a big difference to our young people. So effectively, the Dordon Independents would welcome this budget, and we look forward to some great things that are going to happen in the next 12 months.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just like to add my support to the budgets. Really good news about flood defences have been said a few times already this evening. But so we are getting very close to growing wet feet in some of our areas. So I'm sure our residents are going to be very grateful. Thank you.
You're from Baxley then?
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Asked anyone? Missed anybody? Councillor Simmons, you come in.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so thank you very much. I think that for me, as Chair of Resources, it's been a bit of a journey, and I think that this budget, it feels for me like a real build on. The last few years we've looked at investment, we've looked at how we promote leisure and how we look at our corporate plan and look at our objectives, and we deliver a plan that is solutions and resident focused. And this is an enabler for us to be able to do more of that. When we look back over the last 12 months, the things that have been achieved, you know, the pump track success in one area, it's linked to our philosophy around supporting road safety and how we roll that out across the borough, you know, and some areas may want different options on that, but it's that premise, isn't it? It's that idea that it's a solution to a problem for young people in our area that we can then start using some of the infrastructure and the funding that we have to enable some of these solutions in our areas. And we've all got different issues going on. We've heard tonight about the benefits of community grants and some of the smaller, most deprived areas of our community to the flooding issues that we have on some of our others. So we know that you know, it has an impact across the board, and the budget matters to residents across North Warwickshire with varying needs. But actually, fundamentally, it's about, you know, delivering for residents across the board. We all want cleaner and better public spaces. We all want that. We want that for our communities. We want that to places in the borough that we go to, that we take our families to. We want that where we live, work, shop, engage, receive visitors to our areas. And the shopfront grant and the extension of that is really, really important, I think, in the regeneration. It's really tough for our local businesses, and to any support that we can give to struggling high streets, I think is absolutely welcome, from the help putting extra money into making them cleaner, making them look better, to making those places better to visit and work and enjoy. And to leisure and recreation. One of the things I'm particularly proud of, actually, and I have to thank a lot of the work that Paul's done and his team in putting us in this position and getting us to this place. There are very few authorities that will be able to stand here today and deliver you and their residents a leisure centre without having to borrow any money. You know, that is really quite exceptional. And I think we need to look at that, look at how we're achieving that, And, you know, that, okay, it's been a bit long, been over a long period of time. We've wanted to do it. We've wanted to do it. We've wanted to do it. We've put more and more money. We've had some fortuitous benefit from having business rates revaluation been delayed and things like that. However, I don't know anyone that could do that. Do you? And I think that's really exceptional to stand there and be able to say that. As a small authority that we are, to be able to deliver that for our residents without having to incur future revenue expenditure for taking on more debt. So, as well as that, in terms of the health and well-being of our residents, because we know in the north we have poorer health outcomes than they do in other areas of Warwickshire, and we need to promote that, which is why I think that's really, really important that we put some of our money into that. Enforcement and safety. The safety of the people in our borough is important to us. You know, the community work that has been done by, you know, Safer Team, that, you know, just that, even that small amount of money that they delivered that project that gave those Faraday pouches away to people was really well received and really valued by different groups of people and our local police. Repurposing some of what we do and repurposing that environmental crime officer, looking at the additional enforcement people. You know, some of the issues we're having at the moment with animal cruelty, particularly in some of our areas, and having someone that can focus on that through greater enforcement is going to make a big difference to the way people feel in our borough. That additional money that's going to go into CCTV that supports the work here, I would like to see that expanded. I would like to see other areas participate in that. You know, I live in Coleshill. I know that they would benefit hugely from being part of that. You know, finance is a factor for small parish councils. Even if they do have slightly larger budgets than perhaps in small villages, they're still, the demands on them are huge. So, you know, sustainability, growth planning, investment in our local plan, we heard from you earlier on, you know, that's something that's going to affect all of us for a long period of time. And the legacy beyond this council will be that the plan that we leave behind. And so that's really important that we invest the right amount of money in that we put the right time and effort into that. And the money that goes into that is really, really delivering for the residents that, you know, will live here beyond that 2040, 2045, way beyond whatever happens with LGR, whatever happens to this council, which is always a bit up in the air. But it's a plan that I think is enabling us that whether LGR happens, whether it happens in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if it doesn't happen at all, I think this still stands up. And I think that's the important part of the budget that actually looks to what you want to be and how you want to deliver for your residents and what you want to do. We talked about the money for the homelessness support. You know, we know that that's a factor at the moment, and we have a housing task force group chaired by Denise. You know, that critical support at the moment where people are finding themselves in more difficult situations because of a change in policy. For all the best of intentions, the way that's landing is affecting people. And being able to respond and be an agile and adaptable council with facility and ability to respond without having to say, "Oh, that's not my badge. That's that's Warwickshire County Council flooding. That's Warwickshire Council." Without having that badge, without being able to respond to the needs of residents, it's actually really important. And I think that solution-focused element to our ways of working is key. And this budget helps us deliver that. And then we come on to the Prosperity Fund. Well, the UK SBF, and before that, the fund that we had before, what was that one? That was through the LEADER programme. Different things like that have been quite restrictive in other ways. And one of the things that's really grown is communities being able to sort of access that fund and you know, share in the prosperity of that. One of the things that I've spoken about quite a lot with Councillor Bev is about heritage. You know, there's different parts of this borough that have got significant heritage that would rival some of the other Warwickshire if we could only promote it and actually get something going with it. So I think that, you know, getting behind some of that is key for me with some of that money. And again, you know, having that option and that future planning into the next couple of years enables us to be able to do that. And again, you know, the councillor grants, lots of people have mentioned that, I've got about that, but that's £5,000 per councillor. You know, that's a lot of money when you're putting £100 into this or £150 into that. That can really, really turn an event into something worthwhile for a small community. We've done a lot in our area with you know, with groups that do exercise classes for people who've had strokes and different things like that, stroke club, but all sorts of things like that. You know, but they don't have any money. You know, but £100 for them means that they can hire a hall or they can do that, you know, so it enables the facility to happen for the local community. So it is a real enabler. And that's what it's all about. It's an enabling budget. It's a budget that's grown out of the last few years and evolved. And now it's getting to that point where we can really see some delivery. And that's what I'm really excited about, which, as well as standing here and going, it's going to be 0% and being able to say that out loud is means that I absolutely stand here and deliver. Yes, I can vote for that. And I'd be really proud to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sinners. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to start off by paying tribute and thanks to not just Interim Director of Resources, who has done, as we've heard already from a number of speakers, a sterling job, but to all our staff and officers of the council, from our cleaners to our chief exec, because they all play an integral part and a part of the team North Warwickshire. You know, we couldn't do everything we do without each and every one of them. And I pay particular tribute to them at this time with the threat of LGR. It's a very uncertain time for all our staff. And I think all credit should go to them at this time. I'm also going to pay thanks to my group, who work extremely hard, showing great commitment to the residents that have elected them and to the North Warwickshire Borough as a whole. I'm also going to acknowledge and thank the independent North Warwickshire residents,
Independent representative
group for putting an amendment. You know, it takes a bit of time, and you've done that, and so thank you for that. I'm also going to thank the Dordon Independents, who, we have thank you for your support again for this budget. I find it a somewhat bizarre situation now, because normally it's at this stage when I'm summing up that we set out our reasons why we can't support the Labour amendment, etc., etc. But alas, there is no Labour amendment. So my question really is, you abstain on everything when it goes to budgets. You've done it tonight. You've abstained on everything. And yet, when given the opportunity to put your ideas or your proposals forward, you don't bother. So my question really is, why are you here? What's the point of you? You are letting down the people that elected you. You are, it seems, frightened to do anything. Perhaps you're as inept as your Chancellor and your Prime Minister. I don't know. But clearly there must be some reason. Because, and as I say, I reiterate the question, why are you here and what is the point of you? Because you are failing.
To represent
failing.
residents.
But you're not.
You've asked a direct
Can you
question.
take a seat?
You're
Could you
failing.
take
It's
a
interesting
seat?
that you currently rate that have
Could
no
you
council
take a seat,
tax
please,
when there's a
Councillor?
Labour government.
Thank you.
Failing to represent because you don't say anything. My comments on reform is, boy, it's just not as easy as Mr. Farage thought it was, is it? You know, the bottom line is local authorities were pretty well run under the Conservatives, and it's not as easy as he made out. So, you know, unlike reform, it's only the Conservatives that can deliver financial stability with affordable, sustainable and great financial planning. Finally, Mr. Thomas, Ian Thomas, you can have a flagpole in Piccadilly, I am sure of it. So, to answer a question from Councillor Chapman, though, contract locations, yeah, obviously that will go through consultation. And Councillor Grant, yes, it's £5,000 per councillor. Absolutely. So, what's the question?
Already.
No, that's
So
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So, I thank everybody for the comments. I thank the staff again, and I commend our budget to the council.
Thank you very much. So we're going to put it to a recorded vote, so I'll hand over to Steve. Yeah.
So we need to, by law, have two recorded votes. So the first recorded vote is on the budget proposals, council tax and tax base. So that's the first bit of the paper that was set round by Council Wright. So that's the various elements of spending. So everybody's clear on what we're voting for. And then we need to then vote on the council tax resolution, which is the other bit that you've got through, just to be absolutely clear. So Councillor Barnett.
Abstain.
Councillor Bates.
For.
Councillor Bell.
For.
Councillor Chapman.
Abstain.
Councillor Clues.
For.
Councillor Davey.
For.
Councillor Dervicks. Abstain. Councillor Fowler.
For.
Councillor Gilmore.
For.
Sorry. Councillor Hayfield.
For.
Councillor Hobley.
Abstain.
Councillor Humphreys.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
Abstain.
Councillor Jarvis.
For.
Councillor Jennings.
For.
Councillor Melia.
For.
Councillor Osborne.
For.
Councillor Parsons.
Abstain.
Councillor Owen Phillips.
Abstain.
Councillor Riley.
For.
Councillor Ridley.
For.
Councillor Ryrie.
Abstain.
Councillor Simpson.
For.
Councillor Singh.
For.
Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Stewart.
For.
Councillor Simmons.
For.
Councillor Martin Watson.
For.
Councillor Steve Watson.
For.
Councillor Wapples.
For.
Councillor Andy Wright.
For.
Councillor David Wright.
For.
That's carried. Madam Mayor. If we can repeat the process.
had time.
If we repeat the process, please, for the council tax resolutions, item 14.2. Councillor Barnett.
For.
Councillor Bates. Councillor Bell.
For.
Councillor Chapman.
For.
Councillor Clues.
For.
Councillor Davey.
For.
Councillor Dervicks.
For.
Councillor Fowler.
For.
Councillor Gilmore.
For.
Councillor Hayfield.
For.
Councillor Hobley.
For.
Councillor Humphreys.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
For.
Councillor Jarvis.
For.
Councillor Jennings.
For.
Councillor Melia.
For.
Councillor Osborne.
For.
Councillor Parsons.
For.
Councillor Owen Phillips.
Abstain.
Councillor Riley.
For.
Councillor Ridley.
For.
Councillor Ryrie.
For.
Councillor Simpson.
For.
Councillor Singh.
For.
Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Stewart.
For.
Councillor Simmons.
For.
Councillor Martin Watson.
For.
Councillor Steve Watson.
For.
Councillor Wapples.
For.
Councillor Andy Wright.
For.
Councillor David Wright.
For.
We move on then, please, to 14B, the exec board.
Oh, okay, sorry. Back to the pages.
Yes. So page 174B, 174C, 174D, 174E. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now move that the minutes of the executive meeting held on the 16th of February of this year be adopted.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith, thank you. All those in favour? Those abstained? Thank you. Thank you. We move on to item 15 to receive and consider the following motion. A motion received understanding order 10. Councillor Waffles.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do believe that there is a friendly amendment that we would like to start, please, off our motion. So can we have that circulated, please?
While that's been circulated, do I have a seconder, please?
That's second motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. Has everybody got a copy? Okay, do we have any speakers or anybody who wants to comment? Councillor Waffles, sorry.
Thank you. I won't go through the whole motion because I'm sure you can all read what's proposed, but just to highlight a few of the issues. So just a little bit of the background. So we as a council recognise that residents, sorry, I will stop. We recognise that residents may occasionally struggle to pay their council tax due to fluctuating income, unexpected expenses or personal crises. Current council policy provides some support options such as council tax support and discretionary hardship payments and encourages residents to contact the council early if they are having difficulty paying. Residents can also spread their payments over 12 months and check eligibility for discounts and reductions. However, under statutory collection procedures, a single missed instalment can rapidly lead to the removal of instalment arrangements and a demand for the entire year's council tax payable within 7 days. Failure to pay can lead to liability orders, additional costs and eventual enforcement action such as deductions from benefits, attachment of earnings or referral to enforcement agents. So this council notes the excellent work that's already been done by North Warwickshire Borough Council staff, and to be fair, a lot of the times this is already being done. The reason for this motion really was to cement this and make this a more robust process to help the staff to enforce things going forward, to future-proof this, and of course, to help the residents. We are not saying that residents should not be paying, just to make that very clear, but we are, wanting to support a robust mechanism to help the staff to gain the money back, to signpost residents that need further support, and those that are engaging with the process to have this extra layer put in. So that's what this is really about. So obviously you've read my original motion and I'll just read out the changes that have been proposed by the Labour group. So report back to council annually with an assessment of arrears, recovery rates, use of support programmes and recommendations for future improvements. And then point 5 on the proposed amendment is to number 6, can't count, to evaluate the cost effectiveness of early intervention versus legal enforcement, ensuring that council resources are directed toward the most efficient and high yield collection methods that protect the interests of the general taxpayer. So that I'm happy to propose that now as part of my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waffles. Councillor Stewart, would you like to speak now or reserve your right?
No, I'll speak now. I know it's not in vogue and normally people say that, but there's nothing really to hide here. I'm proud to be able to second this motion proposed by Councillor Waffles. And I'd also like to thank officers for their close supportive work in putting together a suitable wording for it. I'd also like to thank other group leaders who have responded to our early notification of this motion and for the amendment that came in and the work that's happened this evening to see that this should go through quite universally. The other aspect that I'd like to make in this motion is that obviously when you do something like this is that there could be a feeling that you're actually encouraging people not to pay their council tax, giving them an out. I think we've been quite clear in the wording of the motion here that where people do not seek to engage with the process as an early opportunity, where they are trying to blend their responsibilities, that it actually enables an enforcement actions to come with the fullest strength that's available. We've just talked quite extensively about council tax. It's absolutely important that we get it in, and there's a revenue collection mechanisms in there. It also enforces those kind of aspects. It is somewhat concerning when you see via social media the almost frivolous encouragement of people to get people not to pay their council tax. I think it's really, really important that councils maintain their responsibility to their residents. But also there is a responsibility to ensure of all of us as citizens that we pay for the services that we receive. And so therefore, on that kind of basis and with that kind of extra motion, which I think might have been received somewhat dubiously elsewhere in the chamber, I'm very, very proud to second this motion.
Thank you very much. Has anybody else got any comments? Look at the back, say councillor please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Waffles and Councillor Stewart. I'd just like to see that you did highlight engagement, because engagement is needed. In all the years that I volunteered down their food bank, what our team done was offered them food vouchers so that they could pay their rent or their council tax, but they needed to engage. And I know one of our officers, Sally Roberts here, is very proactive with things. We've got one in Manchester on the 3rd of March where they engage again. The last one, I think Severn Trent's running this one, and the one before that we had Hayden, where it was giving blankets away, slow cookers, air fryers, but again, they needed to engage. And I think this is the point, and I'm glad you made that point. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor David Ralph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please support this motion, mainly because it sort of just puts down everything that we are already doing, you know, and including the amendment, the friendly amendment. You know, we are already doing it, and I will reiterate. Yeah, I know people like Martin Lewis have criticised, you know, some councils for escalating it immediately. But I can reassure our residents that we are not one of those councils. You know, we take a pragmatic and sympathetic view to people, but it's all, as Councillor Stewart and Councillor Waffles have both said, and Councillor Denise includes, in fact, it's all about engagement, isn't it? It's a little bit like HMRC. If you keep the organisation involved, if you're in debt, you keep them informed and keep them involved and keep those lines of communication, everybody's fair. But it's those people that persistently just ignore everything that will then, you know, firmer action. But the key thing to me is only take action, court action that is, if you think there's a better than 50% chance of getting the money, because it costs money to go to court. So, you know, if there is, as I say, if there's less than a 50% chance of getting that money, then don't spend the money to collect if there's no chance of getting it. So please to support, because as I say, it just puts it down in black and white, everything we're already doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think so.
Councillor Davies.
I really welcome this because it is raising the awareness of this problem again. I can't remember whether it was Councillor Cleves that was involved with this before, but this has come in front of me several times, and we've actually written guidelines for our officers that set out this, and we have this as an aim for the coach already. But to firm it up with a new motion like this, I think is very welcome. I wish I could remember which of the many committees I've been on that it came through first time, the last time. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barney.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I think they're in support of this generally. What was I saying?
That'll do. I'll take
I mean, I think what's been said, it was probably true that we are probably doing a lot of this stuff already. I think the thing that's missing at the moment is that lack of scrutiny, and we don't have, I personally don't have the confidence that we don't have the numbers presented to us currently. And I think that is what this is going to do. We can get regular reviews of it. And the resources for them, you know, I will certainly be a lot happier if we've got the figures and we can see that it is actually happening as we hope it is. And to come to the point 6 about the cost effectiveness, I mean, to reiterate David White's point, I mean, with bailiffs, I mean, if people are genuinely struggling to pay and we go to the point of appointing bailiffs to them, they still can't pay. And then we send bailiffs up to them the next year, we're just compounding it, but they're getting bailiffs fees on top of it. They're probably actually less likely to pay going off into the future. And so, you know, that's the sort of scenario we need to try and avoid, really. We still need to go after those people who are refusing to pay, but where people genuinely can't, we need to be supporting them to enable them to be able to pay in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Chair. I think I absolutely support this motion. I think what it does, to be fair, is, as Councillor Wright says, it confirms what has been going on. On the 2 or 3 occasions, people have come to me with problems with their council tax. When I've actually approached officers here, they have been well supported and they've been, appropriately helped and dealt with. The problem, well, I think what this does is to firm it up so that you don't get people who don't really realise that the help is there and can be there. If they are willing to pay and want to be able to help them to pay, even if they're struggling at a particular time. So, I support this motion and I do recognise that, yes, in terms of what our officers have been doing, it is fundamental, this, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to respond to the comment that Councillor Keith Barnett made about a report. There is a report coming to the next resources on sticking, which should answer your questions. We give you the opportunity to signalise as you wish.
Any more comments? Anybody else? Councillor Waffles. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
So I propose that we accept this motion.
Thank you very much. Seconded, councillor Stewart. All those in favour? That's carried, it's unanimous, thank you. Item 16, I'd like to move as chair to authorise the chief executive in accordance with Article 1105 of the Articles of the Constitution to sign and seal on behalf of the council any orders, deeds and documents necessary to give effect to any resolution of the council, including any past during part of the meeting which is held in private. Shall I have a second, please? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 17, see if you're moving already. I'd like to move as chair to consider in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, whether it is in the public interest that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. On a second, please. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much.